Incoming hostiles detected. Heavily armored hostile detected.
Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Raffle and I hope that the gameplay you just watched made it abundantly clear that this is an effective build, because we're gonna get all sorts of comments down below from people who are not playing with anything else other than meta builds, who if it's not a turret drone skill build, they don't like it. This build has a lot of reasons, will give actually a lot of reasons to people to tell me how bad it is or how other builds are better, but the gameplay actually can speak for itself. I can clear solo content very easy, while at the same time I'm having so much fun because I've never used a sticky bomb before, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't used sticky bombs in the past in Division 2, simply because the way they work in this game, they're not as good as in the first one. So a lot of people decide to go with the turret, the drone, the mortar, whatever, right? So yesterday I decided that I wanna put a sticky bomb build together. As I said, a lot of reasons for people to hate on this build, so let's go over them. The first one is of course the sticky mines, second one is of course the sticky bomb, and the third reason of course is that I'm running glass cannon. So yeah, let's go over the pieces that I'm using. I will explain why I chose each and every piece, and then you can decide if you wanna use this build or not. But as I've said multiple times on this channel, I post mostly videos about builds that are fun to play with in my opinion, and I think that other people might want to try out. I very rarely will post a meta build. I do that from time to time. I'm tired of seeing comments like, oh, this is not a meta build will be better. Why would somebody use this and not this meta build, and blah blah blah. I'm tired of seeing that. We know it. I've said it multiple times. My builds, most of them are not meta, are not as good as meta, but are funny in my opinion. From now on, I'm gonna start deleting those comments because I'm starting to get really annoyed. So let's see what I have put together here. Of course, we have the capacitor. Why we want the capacitor? Because the two skills that are using, Secure Mind and the sticky bomb, cannot output constant DPS, meaning that when those two are on a cooldown, this over here says 18 seconds right now, but it's down to 15 seconds when you have your full Memento stacks. And this over here says 28 seconds, but it's actually 22 seconds or 23 seconds when you have your full Memento stacks, meaning that when I use those two, they're gonna go on a long cooldown. 15 seconds is not that short time, right? So in the meantime, I will have to use only my weapon to survive, so we obviously want to have some weapon damage as well, right? The capacitor, the good thing about it is that for each skill tier, it gains 7.5% weapon damage, meaning that for the 6 skill tiers that we're running here, we gonna get a nice 45% increased weapon damage, right? Another great thing about the capacitor is that when it has stacks, when you hit somebody, you get a stack, and when you have 40 stacks, it increases your skill damage by 60%, 1.5% per stack, and you can have a total of 40 stacks, right? So because we're going to be using the capacitor a lot, we're also going to have a very easy time gaining those stacks and maintaining them. So that's a 60% skill damage increase just for that. Moving on to the second most important piece of this build is of course the Memento. As I told you, I want both my weapon damage and my skill damage to be as high as possible in this build, so I decided to go with the Memento. I don't really care about the short-term buff because I won't be able to pick up a lot of trophies at the start of the fight simply because I'm running glass cannon, so I won't be running around. I want to be in cover, so we don't care about the short-term buff. We only care about the long-term buff. The long-term buff, after we reach our 30 stacks, will give us an extra 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, which translates to 30% skill damage, 30% skill haste, and things like that. And then we're also going to get the 3% armor regeneration, which is very nice because we're running the glass cannon. A lot of times we'll get shot, our armor will be completely gone, and then we will have to stay behind cover. With the 3% armor regeneration from the Memento, just a couple of seconds later, we're gonna be able to pick again because we're gonna have some armor again. Now, why did I decide to go with the glass cannon? A lot of people are gonna ask. Simply because I wanna have a talent that increases both my weapon damage and my skill damage. If I go with a talent like Kinetic Momentum, right, it will not increase my weapon damage, it will only increase my skill damage. And as I told you, we don't have constant skill DPS, so when our skills are on a cooldown, the only way to survive is using our weapon, so we want that weapon damage. Glass Cannon amplifies all our damage by 25%, so both our skills and our weapon is doing 20% amplified damage. Now, as you can see, I'm using two China Light Industry pieces. The reason for that is the 15% explosive damage and the 10% skill haste. And as you can see, I have skill tier, skill damage, critical hit chance, critical hit damage. Moving on to the second China Light piece, it's the holster, skill haste, skill damage, and skill tier, of course. And then we're running two Grupo Sombras. Why the Grupo Sombra? For the 15% explosive damage and the 15% critical hit damage. We also have skill tier, skill damage, skill haste on this piece. And on the knee pads we have skill tier, skill haste, critical hit chance. The last piece of the build, of course, is the mask, the Wyvern mask, 10% skill damage with a skill tier core attribute and the rest of the attributes being skill haste, skill damage, and a 6% critical hit chance mode. Going to the stats, you can see we have 43.5% critical hit chance and 102 critical hit damage. Those stats are not insane, are not amazing. However, they are, I would say, just okay. In a hybrid build, what I'm aiming most of the time in order for the hybrid build to work as good as possible is to achieve the perfect balance between the two types of builds I'm going with. In this build, I'm going for weapon damage and for skill damage. So my main goal is to achieve the perfect balance between how much of my attributes I want to invest into the weapon damage part and how much I want to invest into the skill damage. That's why the choices that I made. That's why I took the Memento, because it offers us both. That's why I went with the glass cannon, because it offers both. And that's why I have invested critical hit chance and critical hit damage rolls in my build, so I can guarantee that my Capacitor will also be able to take down enemies. And as you saw in the gameplay in the background, it's able to do that. The last thing I want to talk about before I end this video is of course the specialization. We're going with the Demolitionist simply because we want the 10% increased explosive damage. The great thing about this build is that both its skills, both the Seeker Mines and the Sticky Bomb, have explosive damage. So that's great because we have a bunch of it, right? So that's it pretty much, guys. I know a lot of people are not gonna like this build. I know a lot of people will not use it. But I hope that a couple of you will actually give this a shot and see that it can be very fun to play with. As I said, I know this is not as good as a meta build. It will be better to use a meta build if you wanna be as efficient as possible. But if you just wanna have fun, give this a shot. You're not gonna regret it. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.